We want to thank all of our sponsors, our car owners, all of you, all of our participants who have been here today, and certainly last but not least, our esteemed panel of judges who stand before me. They're from all over the US and Canada, even a few from Europe. So it's quite an esteemed panel, as I say. Gentlemen and ladies, if you tip your hat or wave your hand to let everybody know who you are. As follows, in alphabetical order: John Ballard, Gary Boboleff, Les Bird, David Carlson, Dr. J.J. Carlson, David Cohen, Stan Dickinson, Robert Fram, Ken Gross, Somer Hooker, Don Hopwood, Terry Johnson, Doug Keith, Christian Kramer, Stephen Locker, Paul Martin, Nigel Matthews, Rob McLeese, Rick Mikulski, John Milliken, Ron Morris, Dr. Mark Moskowitz, Ben Neff, Phil Neff, and they are not brothers, Matthew Orendek, Paul Olansky, Hunt Palmer Ball, Kim Pierce, Lily Prey, Jay Quayle, George Ross, Raul Sangiorgi, Roy Scholl, Alfred Steppenbach, Jim Strandberg, Susan Tadios, Ed Tadios, they are brother and sister, Jim Thomas, Mike Tilson, Kip Wisenko, Ed Winkler. Our honorary judges: Dr. Jerry Greenfield, Ed Gilbertson, Keith Martin, the one, the only, Dr. Paul Sable, and our chief judge, Mr. John Carlson. And I would be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge John's wife, Coco, who did a really fine job of taking care of all the statistics and putting things together today. Ladies and gentlemen, your panel of judges. You are excused.
How about that? There we have it. Way to go, guys.
The other important person I need to announce that's standing to this way, whatever he's doing, is Stuart Sobek, who is the chairman of the inaugural Las Vegas Concours. Stuart, would you like to say a few words to open the event?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy to have you all here today. It's a fabulous day for Las Vegas. Fabulous day to have a Concours d'Elegance in the beautiful McDonald Highlands at Dragon Ridge Country Club. We're so glad you're here. We look forward to having this be an annual event that you all look forward to. So let's see some beautiful cars, let's give some great awards, and let's look forward to awarding the first 2 Helene Awards for Best of Show today. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart, and congratulations on your first ever event. There's no effort or work behind this. This has just been a walk in the park for Stuart, and he's done a really great job for a first-time event. And what a magnificent setting!
We're going to do it every month.
It's so much fun, right? Great. Well, let's get started without further ado. And as I say, let's play cars. If I could have my first car, please. I'm sorry, I was advised, I'm sorry. We would like to begin with the playing of our national anthem. Do we have a flag? Okay. If you'd all please rise, remove your caps.
Oh, Canada, our home and native native land. True patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Yeah, how about that? How about that?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Yeah, wow, how about that, huh?
Play ball.
Play ball, yeah. How about that?
Ladies and gentlemen,
So you
that was
got
Cornell
Bob
Johnson,
Barsha.
the official singer here for the Golden Knights in Las Vegas. Thank you so much. It was just beautiful.
Let it go, bro. Thank you. How about that?
Play ball.
Play ball.
Let's play cars. Can I have our first car, please?
Play cars.
This is the American Classics class, 1917 to 1933. We're going to be parading the cars in order of 3, 2, 1. Third place, second place, and first place. In the third place position, belonging to Gary Marchetti of Vista, California, is a 1931 Nash 887 sedan. Charlie Nash was originally the president of General Motors. If you ever want to know how incestuous the American automobile industry was in its early days, many people got their start at other places. This is a Nash, which is not typically a car that you see at an event like this. Nashes were very advanced automobiles. Charlie Nash's idea was give people more than they paid for, was his thought process. This is a twin ignition straight 8, a very handsome automobile, and I hope you can all see, because where I'm standing right now, the car looks black, but the car is actually a wonderful combination of black and green with almost like a yellow gold type of pinstriping. This is the original color combination that was on the car. The owner, I think it's very important to point out on this car also, did the restoration himself, which is very, very important. This was not a checkbook restoration whereby he wrote a check out to somebody and said, I'll pick it up when it's done. But just a stunningly handsome automobile for what was really kind of a mid-priced automobile. Nash, we lost Nash in the 50s after it merged with Hudson and Kelvinator and became American Motors. Great car. It was one of the cars I admired when I came in. I love the color combination. Congratulations on your award. Thank you very much. Our second place car, and
Whoa, 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 we got to present the award.
Our second place car is Mr. and Mrs. Lorenzo Nannini from Firenze, Italy, or we call it Florence here in the United States, but it sounds so much better. This is a 1933 Chrysler Imperial LeBaron town sedan. Chrysler was, Walter Chrysler started his own company in 1924, and by 1931 he felt it was important to compete with the other big heavies in terms of the automobile industry of the classic era, such as Packard, Pierce Arrow, etc. With that, he designed the Imperial, which was his large car. There was a CL and a CG, which was the long wheelbase car, which is what you're seeing here. This had a straight 8 red, what was called a red ram engine, which is where, I'm sorry, red head engine, which is where they got the, later used the red ram name, I should say. These were extremely stylish cars. He admired the styling of E.L. Cord's L29 automobile, even though this was a rear drive car. This is a, he admired the styling, but he wasn't able to make it quite as low as the Cord, which was front drive. But it did have a slant back radiator, giving the illusion of speed when the car is standing still. These are very, very handsome automobiles, and a stunning, stunning automobile. A second place in American Classics. Congratulations on your award. Best in class among American Classics 1917 to 1933 goes to Joseph III and Margie Cassini. The Cassinis are from West Orange, New Jersey. Judge Cassini is in the passenger side of the car. This is a I believe it's a 31, right? Yeah. 1931 Stutz DV32 convertible Victoria by LeBaron. You are seeing this car from absolutely the best angle because you get to realize what an absolutely stunning automobile this is. You heard me say it's a Victoria. The Victoria means just behind where you see Joe, behind where he's seated, is a full convertible roof covering the back seat of the car. That's why it is referred to as a Victoria. This car was shipped to Argentina originally to a boxer who was the Stutz distributor dealer in Argentina at the time. It later came back to the States. LeBaron bodied this car. In other words, when you bought an automobile at this particular time, Stutz was in Indianapolis. The car was sent to Detroit, meaning the frame of the car, the engine, the radiator, the steering gear, sent to LeBaron in Detroit and bodied with this magnificent body that you see here. This is a DV32. Stutz did not have the money to craft a big 12 or 16 cylinder engine, so they took their straight 8 and put a 32 valve cylinder head on it. Therefore the name DV32. It had twin overhead cams, Hemi combustion chambers. It was a very advanced piece of engineering, and it put out 300 pound-feet of torque, which gave this car a 100+ mile per hour rating at a time when cars rarely did that kind of speed. Joe, it's a stunning, stunning car. I always love talking about it, and it's so nice of you and Marge always to share your cars. It's a great car. Congratulations on Best in Class.
Yay.
Class 2 is American Classics 1934 to 1941. Third in class goes to the 1937 Cord 812 Phaeton, owned by H.B. and Norma Calder of Henderson, Nevada. This was the car that blew everybody away when it was introduced in 1936. It was designed by Gordon Burig, who was hired by E.L. Cord to design the car at that time. This was originally supposed to be a baby Duesenberg, but it ended up being named the Cord after E.L. Cord himself. This was his middle market car between Auburn Cord and Duesenberg, and this was America's first front-wheel drive automobile. And Cord introduced the Cord, the L29, in 1929. Weeks later, the Ruxton was introduced. There would not be another American car with front drive until 1966, when Oldsmobile introduced the Toronado. This was a very revolutionary car, not only front-wheel drive. It had concealed headlights. It had a clamshell hood, meaning the hood was hinged at the back, when at the time when hoods were typically hinged from the side. If you look inside, it has a beautiful engine turned dash. Cord called this car, by the way, a phaeton, which typically means the car does not have roll-up windows. It has snap-in side curtains, but this particular car, he liked the name phaeton because he thought it had a lot of cachet. So this car does have roll-up windows, but he called it a phaeton. These are beautiful, beautiful, stunningly styled automobiles. They were nicknamed the coffin nose Cord because of the design of the front end of the car. Beautiful car. Congratulations on your third place award. Our next car, second in class, is a 1935 Duesenberg JN sports sedan known as the Bojangles sedan. This belongs to Rob Hillerides of Visalia, California. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Just take a look. This was the pride of America when E.L. Cord, he bought the Duesenberg Automobile Company. The Duesenberg brothers were race car builders that recognized, much like Enzo Ferrari, that you had to build a production car in order to support your racing habit. The Duesenberg brothers sold their company to E.L. Cord. He told them, I want you to build the best car, cost be damned. He didn't care what it cost. There were roughly 480 of these built in chassis form. No Duesenberg had a factory body. They were all custom bodied. This particular car was built for Bill Bojangles Robinson. It was originally sent to Ralston in New York, and he then later sent the car to Bowman and Schwartz in Pasadena, who tweaked the body of the car. This is twin overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder, dual exhaust, 4-wheel hydraulic brakes. These were things that nobody had. You bought a chassis on this car for $7,500 in 1929, when a Model A was about $450. So just an incredible automobile, and thank you so much for bringing it. Congratulations on your award. Beautiful car.
White's hubcaps.
And best in class. Oh, do I like this car. Man, this is, to me, this is the car. I'm a Packard guy, so I'm a little bit biased, I must say. This is a 1934 Packard Model 1108, a Packard 12, and this is a dual cow phaeton by LeBaron. Belongs to the Nethercutt collection in Sylmar, California. In 1934, Packard built 3 special automobiles. They built an aerodynamic coupe, they built a boat tail roadster, and they built this 4-door dual cow phaeton, all of which had coach work by LeBaron of Detroit. Just look at the styling of that car. I mean, it is just absolutely positively incredible. There's not a bad line on that car. It's called a dual cow phaeton because behind a dual windshield phaeton, I should say, on the case of this car, because you have 2 windshields on the car. Typically, and this actually is a dual cow now that I say that, this panel flips up in order for you to have access into the back seat, as well as providing all-weather protection to the back seat passengers. There were 5 of these built. Amazingly, 4 of these exist to this day. The Packard 12 continued on through 1939, and Packard ended building a 12-cylinder model. This was during what we call the cylinder wars, when all the manufacturers were trying to outdo one another. Pierce Arrow, Packard, Franklin, Lincoln, etc., and Cadillac all had 12-cylinder engines, and they were very intense competitors with one another. But nobody had better styling, in my opinion, in 1934 than this car. It's called a Hussy Red, is the name of the color. Interestingly enough, the Nethercutt family then developed a lipstick line for ladies using this exact color, I learned today, which I think is a very, very cool story through their Merle Norman Cosmetics. Very, very spectacular automobile. Congratulations on your best in class. I love your car. Magnificent.
Yeah, how about that, huh? Wire wheels, wide whites. Look at that.
Class 3 European Classics, 1927 to 1936.
A real hussy.
Third in class goes to the 1935 Swallow Sidecar SS1 Coupe, owned by Eduardo and Michelle Zavala from Miami Beach, Florida. Okay, folks, most of you are saying a side swallow. What is a swallow sidecar? What is that? That was the predecessor to Jaguar. This was called an SS1. SS, during, of course, World War II, took on a very negative connotation, and they were very smart to drop the SS nomenclature, and that's when it first became a Jaguar. So we can thank Hitler and Mussolini for doing one good thing, was getting rid of the SS nomenclature on automobiles. This was a very, very sporty car, keep that in mind. But this was not a particularly high power car at that particular period of time. But again, the low slung nature of the chassis, this unusual coupe body style, and I believe this has a sliding roof, does it not? Yeah, which is really, really unusual for cars at that particular era. Very, very sporty handling. Bill Lyons, Sir William Lyons, was the designer of this car. This was his first design. He went on to design nothing but beautiful automobiles, followed by the XK 120, 140, 150, the E-Type. The man had a brilliant eye for design. These are just very, very stunningly handsome automobiles. Thank you guys so much for bringing it. I always enjoy seeing your car. Beautiful car.
Pretty throaty too, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Second in class goes to Peter Boyle of Oil City, Pennsylvania. This is a 1928 Asada Fraschini 8A SS. That's a Tipo 8A actually, SS. This is a roadster with coachwork by LeBaron of Detroit. Now I want to comment on that little maneuver I just saw there. You guys need to realize these cars do not have power steering. Okay, plus this is probably a 6,500, 7,000 pound car. I mean, think about that. Is the word manhandling makes sense when it talks about describing a car like this. Asada Fraschini built the first a series production straight 8-cylinder engine. They pioneered in hydraulic braking. This was really considered to be the Rolls-Royce of Italy. These were brilliantly engineered automobiles. This particular car, of course, built in Italy, was sent to Detroit. Asada had a very big presence in the United States through the dealer in New York City. This was sent to LeBaron in Detroit and finished with this beautiful roadster body. It was owned by Harry Williams and Margaret Clark. He was an aviation pioneer. She was a silent film star. Did I say something wrong? Okay. Thought Peter was correcting me on something. Okay, good. She was a silent film star, and they bought this incredible automobile. Just a magnificent car. I always enjoy seeing it. Peter, you're so kind to bring your cars long distances like this too. Thanks, guys. Congratulations on your award. Beautiful car. This is best in class, a 1931 Bugatti. I believe this is a Type 51, if I'm not mistaken. Dubose is, I think, the coach builder. Is that who did the bodywork? This is owned by the Nethercutt collection of Sylmar, Georgia. Now, if you're looking at that car and saying, well, that is a pretty unusual and unique Bugatti, you got that right. It is one of one. The Type 51 was actually a racing Ferrari. This particular car was purchased to race, and it was actually raced by Bugatti factory racers, including Rene Dreyfus. This particular car, early on in its life, was sent back to a coach builder to have this almost Atlantic kind of in miniature type of Bugatti put on it with this wonderful dorsal tail. The judges said this car is just absolutely spectacular up close and personal, and it's just finished in a beautiful order. If you want to, Bugattis were really meant to be raced. The only car that was really considered a production car, which you'll see shortly, is a Type 57, which was really done to appeal to the competitors such as Delage, Delahaye, Talbot Lago, etc. But this particular car is a custom one-off body on an actual race car done in period. Just a magnificent car. It's a stunning, stunning automobile here in the sunshine. Congratulations on your Best Place award.
That's Sylmar, California, not Georgia. Nethercutt.
It just sounds fast. Our next class is European Classics 1937 to 1939. Now you just saw a Type 51. This is a Type 57. I want you to hear that motor. Listen to the sound of that. Bugattis are very interesting automobiles in that they do not have gaskets in them. They are metal on metal, literally, and they have this very machine kind of happening, mechanical kind of sound to them, which is really quite spectacular. This particular car is a 1936 Bugatti Type 57, owned by, am I saying correctly, Lillian Kwan McCain of Beverly Hills, California. This was in her family, I believe, am I correct, all its life? Which is just remarkable that this car has survived since the 30s. This particular car is wearing coachwork by Graber of Switzerland. I had to give a thought there, thank you. I appreciate that little heads up. By Graber of Switzerland, who was really, for lack of a better choice of words, one of the preferred coach builders of Jean Bugatti. For that matter, you could almost say that they were their in-house coach builder. Very, very beautiful automobile. Again, the only Bugatti that was ever designed first as a passenger car. Yes, some of them were raced, but essentially these were designed to compete with the other wealthy competitors, Delage, Delahaye, Tabolago, etc., things such as that. Stunning car. Congratulations on your award. Beautiful, beautiful automobile.
Yay.
I love the sound. Second in class, the Southern gentleman. This is Bob Jepson of Savannah, Georgia. This is a 1938 Mercedes-Benz 540K Cabriolet with coach work by Normalm. Normalm was a somewhat obscure coach builder. They built, to my knowledge, I think in total, 3 automobiles. In case of this car, it is the only Mercedes-Benz with Normalm coach work. Most of these were done in-house at Mercedes-Benz at their Sindelfingen factory. This is a 540K. K means compressor or supercharger. This is a supercharger that is activated by your right foot. Literally, to engage the supercharger, you push the accelerator, and it's rather amazing. These cars, despite the fact that they're extremely heavy automobiles, they actually throw you back in the seat, which is rather remarkable for a 1930s era automobile. This car was built for Max Stempel. He was known to travel the Autobahns of Germany. It was fitted with special accessories for Autobahn cruising. One of those special accessories was his girlfriend, who was Greta Garbo. I had somebody else in my mind. His girlfriend was Greta Garbo, so she perhaps is seated where Kevin is sitting right now. Although Bob and him don't look quite as good, but they're doing a pretty good job. One of the unusual things too is the Diana goddess of the Diana hood ornament that's on the car, which he also had fitted to this particular car. Very, very nice car. Bob just finished the restoration on this just a few short months ago. Beautiful car, guys. Thanks so much. And best in class. Boy, that was a pretty quick change, Peter. This is Peter Boyle from Oil City, Pennsylvania, and his lovely lady Judy. This is a 1938 Steyr 220 Roadster with coach work by Glazier. I'm sorry, I'm having a tough time here today. Glazier of Dresden, Germany. Steyr was a munitions manufacturer. They actually only built automobiles for a very short period of time. This is one of 3 that exist of this particular car today. If I recall correctly, I believe there were just 6 of these made with this particular body. This was a dealer demonstrator and a show car when it was originally built. Peter did the restoration a few years back in this wonderful color combination, and a very, very interesting automobile, the likes of which you will probably say, I've never seen another, because there are not that many, to say the least. Congratulations, guys. Great car.
He needs some sunscreen from the get-go. He's all burned up.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Class 5, European Touring Sedans, 1930 to 1974. That's a pretty broad range of time frame, but our third place car is a 1962 Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud owned by Debbie and Gregory Nell of Phoenix, Arizona. A Silver Cloud came out first in 1955. They were built through 1965 when Rolls-Royce introduced the Silver Shadow. I have too much in my head right now. I'm going to slow down here a little bit. Anyway, this is a Cloud 2. There were 3 versions of the car. The Cloud 1, which was a 6-cylinder engine. In 59, Rolls-Royce came out with a V8 engine, which was a Cloud 2. And in 60, I'm going to remember my dates, 2 or 3, it was upgraded to a 4-headlight version, which is called a Cloud 3. This is a very elegant automobile and a very elegant way to travel. Most people think Rolls-Royces were handmade. These cars were hand-assembled, not handmade. This particular body, which came out, as I said, in 55, were actually done by pressed steel for Rolls-Royce. So they were stamped out bodies, but all the fitting and the aluminum trunk, hood, etc. doors were fitted to that particular body of the car. And of course, these wonderful interiors, if you didn't get to take a look at this, are very sumptuous automobiles. They're very well known for their 100-mile-per-hour cruising ability in virtual silence. They're very, very substantial automobiles, very expensive to repair, but as you can see, extremely beautiful cars. Very pretty car. I love the color combination on the car too. And this, if you did notice, is a right-hand drive car. So this is a European version of the car. Great car. Thank you very much. I was very drawn to this car when I saw it on the field. I love Lamborghini Espadas because they're kind of just an oddball in a really good way. There's weird good and there's weird bad. This is weird good. This is the second in class. This is Roger and Lana Worsima. Am I saying that correctly? Worsima from Oakland, California. And this is a 1974 Lamborghini Espada. This particular car was designed by Giugiaro. Yeah, I'm wrong on that. I'm sorry, it was designed by Marcello Gandini at Bertone, which was just kind of a wild design. When you see the car as it goes past, this is a 4-seat Lamborghini, which makes it somewhat unusual. And this incredibly long roof line, giving it this weird, oddly shaped glass window, and also a glass tail panel in order so that you were able to see out of the car. Lamborghini built about 1,200 of these total. So this was actually the first really, for lack of a better choice of words, volume production Lamborghini at that particular time. Very, very cool car, something you don't often get to see. And this car is largely original. It has had some touch-up work done to it, but it was pulled out of a garage some years back and has been lovingly cared for. The gentleman was telling me all of the seat cotton, all the threads in the seats started to go, so they took the seats out of the car and, using the original holes, re-sewed all of the seat sides with any new holes. Fabulous car. I love it, and I'm so glad you brought it here for us to see today. Congratulations. Our best in class 5. Another favorite. I love these. This is a 1961 Mercedes-Benz 300D sedan owned by Barry Sonnen of Los Angeles, California. A 300D, this actually started out as a 300B when it was first introduced in the mid-early 50s. These are known as an Adenauer Mercedes. Chancellor Adenauer was the head of the German government at the time. This was his favorite car, and they named it that after him. They had successive versions up into this particular car, which is the 300D. This is the same motor as what you find in the 300SL under the hood, although it's not sideways like it is, or canted like it is in the 300SL. But very luxurious automobiles. Mercedes-Benz was recognizing the importance of the American automobile market. You'll notice the amount of chrome that's on the car, first of all. The second thing that's unusual about this, it is a 4-door hardtop. So there's no B-pillar on the car. When you hear the word hardtop, the windshield post is an A, the back window post is a C, and the one in the middle is a B-pillar. This does not have a B-pillar, so this is very unusual amongst German cars for that. These are incredibly sumptuous cars inside. Just look at the size of the headrests on that seat. And the seats are that thick as well. They're just beautiful automobiles. very, very expensive cars to restore. And this is a stunning, stunning automobile. Congratulations on your award. Very deserving. Great car. Class 6 American post-war 1948 to 1970. Our third place car is a 1957 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz owned by Forrest Johnson of Las Vegas, Nevada. Take a look at that car. Cadillac needs to wake up. I'm telling you, you look at these cars and you know what they are. There's not even a question what this car is. These were built in limited production numbers. They carried on from 1953. General Motors introduced the wraparound windshield, which this car carried through to the late 50s. I think 59 might have been the last, or 60. The wraparound windshield, which was a very big styling trick at the time. The fenders were used, the rear fenders. The styling of this car came from a prior GM show car. The Biarritz name was chosen because that signified that this was the Eldorado convertible. If you got the car in two-door coupe form, it was an Eldorado Seville. That was the difference between the two cars. Under the hood of this car is a big Cadillac V8 with a Batwing air cleaner. That's what it's known as. Has a big gold air cleaner that looks like a Batwing under the hood, which was there because, of course, this had multiple carburetors, two 4-barrel carburetors sucking gas at a rate that we don't want to talk about. The other thing that was unique, but although you could order them on other Cadillacs, were the Sabre wheels, which came off one of the GM show cars. They actually put these wheels in production in '56, I believe, was the first year. I think they are absolutely the most handsome wheels ever put on an automobile. These are beautiful, beautiful cars. They're miserably difficult to restore, and especially to see one in such beautiful condition as this. Great car, guys. Congratulations on your award. Lovely car. Following the Eldorado is the Eldorado's competitor. We don't think of Cadillac having competitors, but at the time in the 50s, of course, they had Lincoln, they had Imperial, Cadillac, and of course, Packard. Packard was gone after the 1958 model year, after they merged with Studebaker in 57. The 58 model year, the Packards were really nothing more than warmed over Studebakers. But in 1953, this is being a 54, in 1953, I'm sorry, not a 50, yeah, 54. This is Bruce Spangrud, am I saying that? Spangrud from Las Vegas, Nevada. This is a 1954 Packard Caribbean. This was the competitor to the Eldorado. This was Packard's answer to that car. These were built in limited number, always in the hundreds in terms of the number of those that were built. They came with, of course, the Packard Kelsey Hayes wire wheels on them. They had this unique paint scheme on them. They were actually done at Mitchell Bentley for Packard. They were done outside Packard shops. These are extremely handsome automobiles, very nice driving cars, big straight 8 352 V8 under the hood. Very, very lovely car. I love the color combination too. Congratulations on this car, on your award for this car. Great car.
Yeah, Kelsey Hay wires with wide white.
And in first place, another car that really kind of caught me by surprise on the field today. I love this. This is a 1954 Packard 7-passenger limousine owned by Thomas Neal of Santa Ana, California. The manufacturers all wanted to have a prestige automobile. However, only Cadillac was building their limousines in-house at the particular time. Lincoln sent its cars out predominantly to Hess and Eisenhart to be built. Chrysler sent its Imperials out to Ghia in Turin, Italy, and Packard sent their cars to Henny, who was a longtime compatriot with Packard, the Packard Automobile Company, predominantly building hearses, ambulances, and things such as that. Packard contracted with the Henny Body Company to build a limited number of these particular cars. You rarely, if ever, see them restored, especially to the incredible level of this car. This car knocked me out when I saw it on the field. It's a very rare. How many of these total did they build? I neglected to ask that question.
65.
They built 65 total of these cars, so you're getting to see one here today. I should point out something else about the car. Dick Teague had been hired at Packard when these cars were late in their body cycle. And Packard didn't have the money to restyle the car, so if you look at the tail end of the car, there are chrome fins on the back of the car. So the fin craze was happening at the time, so in order to catch that fancy of the fin craze, they crafted them out of chrome and grafted them onto the back of the car. Very, very cool car. I'm so glad you brought it and shared it with us today. Fabulous car.
Follow their directions, they'll send you to the next box.
Class 7 Corvette Roadsters, 1953 to 1962. Third place goes to Michael and Candace Polino of Las Vegas, Nevada, with a 1954 Chevrolet Corvette. This is the second year of the Corvette. This Corvette was introduced in 1953. It was one of the GM Motorama cars, along with the Buick Skylark, the Olds Fiesta, and the Cadillac Eldorado. This was a dream car, largely of Harley Earl's design. They quickly rushed this car to production in order to have a two-seat automobile built in America. This preceded the Thunderbird by 2 years, and that's another story. But under the hood is a Blue Flame 6-cylinder engine. They all came with Power Glide automatic transmissions. So you're thinking to yourself, really not much of a sporty car, but yet it certainly made a statement. This is a second-year car. They made about 3,700 the second year. At the end of the model year, about 1,800 of them remained unsold. So GM had a tough time getting rid of these cars before the 55 model year next year, which had a V8 engine. All of them were polo white with a red interior and a black top. You had no color choice at this particular period of time. Very, very cool car, and thank you so much for bringing it. Congratulations on your award. Second in class goes to a 1957 Corvette. This is it says 283 Roadster. I'll explain that in a moment. James Delorio of Las Vegas, Nevada. This is a Venetian red. They change the names of these colors every year. It makes me crazy because I never remember which is which. But what happened in 1955 was the big change in the Corvette. The first year and second year car, 53 and 54, both had 6-cylinder engines. There was an engineer at GM called Zora Arkus Duntov, who's today known as the father of the Corvette. He was not the original designer of the car, but he's the guy that really took the Corvette by the you-know-whats and made a car out of it. In 1955, Chevrolet introduced a V8 engine. It was a 265 cubic inch V8 engine, later upsized in 1957 to 283 cubic inches, which is what you heard me say, a 283 Roadster here. Suddenly, he took the car racing. They won races with the car. The options, performance options grew on the car, and the Corvette legend continues to this day. Very, very cool car. I love the color with the white coves, and that is correct. The wheels painted the same, rims painted the color of the body with those spinner hubcaps. It's such a great 50s look. Love the car. Congratulations.
Good single headlight.
And it sounds good too.
Go ahead and park before you park the
Best in class goes to the 1953 Chevrolet Corvette of Gary and Linda Hiltonen. I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly, okay, from Laguna Woods, California.
Right,
This is a first-year Corvette. There were a total of 300 cars built in 1953, the first year that the Corvette was introduced. As I said, they were rushed to market. They were advertised as America's dream car that you could buy. Once again, under the hood is a Blue Flame 6-cylinder engine, is what it was known as, a Blue Flame 6. It was really an old version of the Chevy Stovebolt 6 dating back to the 30s that had been updated. Along with that was a Power Glide 2-speed automatic transmission. That was your only choice. They all came in white with a red interior. Polo white was the name of the color, with a red interior and a black top. This particular car, though, the cars did not have factory hardtops. So this was an aftermarket hardtop that was purchased to give the people the all-weather capability of the car, which was a very unusual and interesting period accessory. Of course, these are made out of fiberglass. You hear people say the fantastic plastic, or what other nicknames the Corvette has been known as, but miraculously, here you have a 2-seat sports car being built in the United States since 1953. It's still with us today. Just remarkable. Great car, too. I took a look at this car earlier. Very, very nice automobile. Congratulations on your award.
Guarantee Chevrolet, Santa Ana, California. Wide hubcaps, first year. My favorite. That is my favorite. 67 was my favorite.
Class
year.
8? Corvette Stingrays, 1963 to 1967. This is one I always say, God bless America.
Yeah.
Boy, I love to hear that noise coming out of that. This is, wait a minute. This is Roy and Vera Shortino from Las Vegas, Nevada. Except I don't think that's Roy and Vera, but one of them is one and one not the other. This is a 1967 Chevrolet 427 Corvette convertible. You heard me say 427. You see the call-outs on the hood. The 427 came mid-year in 1966. It was a big block. It was an outgrowth of the Mark V racing program for NASCAR. It put a lot of weight on the nose of the front end of the car, but Chevrolet responded to, of course, the 427 Cobra from Ford, which is what this was all about. It's very obvious when you look at the hood of the car, that bulge that you see was to be able to clear the air cleaners.
Yes.
Okay. So this is it's a 400 horse 3-carb car under the hood, so you had to clear that air cleaner underneath there. That's known as a Stinger, which is of course why it was a Corvette Stingray, much like the Stinger on the actual animal itself. This is also probably a disc brake car, correct? Yeah, you can tell the disc brakes because this has the slotted rally wheels on the car, which always looks so good on a Corvette, I gotta say. Ermine white, am I correct? How about that? I'm doing pretty good on my Corvettes, Paul. You should be proud. Paul's a Corvette guy. He knows everything. This is a great car. I loved it when I saw it walking down the field. Thank you so much for bringing it.
Yeah, huh? Let's sound that big block, 427, 400 horsepower, red line tires.
Second place in the Corvette Stingray category goes to Michael Colt of Dallas, Texas. Michael is the owner of a 1963 Chevrolet Corvette. This is a styling exercise. This particular car was built for Bunky Knudsen, who was the head of the Chevrolet division at the time. Bunky Knudsen took over the Pontiac division in 56. He was the guy that coined the phrase, you can sell an old man a young man's car, but you can't sell a young man an old man's car. So he took the suspenders off the Pontiac, which were called Silver Streaks. He said they look like suspenders on an old man, and he took them off the car. Well, he left Pontiac and then turned his magic on Chevrolet. This particular car was an early car that was pulled off the production line and sent to the GM styling studio and had these wild side pipes, amongst other things, done to particular modifications on the car. You'll see on the side of the car it says fuel injection. So this is now, the motor's been upsized from 265 to 283 to 327 cubic inches. This is a 340 horsepower car because it has Rochester Ramjet mechanical fuel injection on it. These are great performing cars once you get the fuel injection sorted out, but an incredible styling statement as well. 375. I'm sorry. Thank you for, that's why Paul's up here. But isn't that a really incredible styling statement? It is one of one, and you're getting to see it here today at the Las Vegas Concours d'Elegance. Congratulations on your award. Very cool car. And best in class goes to Jay and Michelle Sadler of Riverside, California. And this is a 1963 Chevrolet Corvette split window coupe. This is also a fuel injected car, but this being the factory version of it is 340 horse, not 375 like this car. Take a good look at this car. This was a styling statement as well, derived from the and I just thank you for saying. And Peter Brock, ladies and gentlemen, is driving the car. I Thank you for pointing that out. I completely missed that. It's very, very cool to see that. This is a split window, 1963 split window. It was the only year that the Corvette had the split window and the spine back down the back of the car. There are two theories as to why that was there. Supposedly, it was a deal between Bill Mitchell and Zora Arcus Duntov. Mitchell loved it. Duntov hated it. And that's why it was a one-year only deal. I don't know if that story's true. The other story is that the public hated it because it hampered the rear vision of the car, so they took the spine out of the back window and put a solid back window on the car. When this was introduced in 1963, this was much like Jag introducing the E-Type in 1961. People went nuts that you could buy this kind of styling on a production automobile. Larry Shinoda was the stylist working under the guise of Bill Mitchell to design this particular car. Absolutely wonderful car and great color combination, and even better that we have Peter Brock at the wheel. Very, very cool. Thank you so much and congratulations on your award. Okay, next, European Sports Cars, Class 9. Third in class goes to my buddy Jed Rappaport of Allentown, Pennsylvania, and that's Jed's sister Dana riding shotgun. This is a 1951 Allard K2. Sidney Allard was a Brit. However, he was very early on in the thought process of designing what's called a hybrid automobile. No, that does not mean a Toyota Prius. That means that this is a European car with an American engine. He began initially by doing cars with flathead Ford V8s, but of course the quest for more horsepower in the 50s, he recognized in order to build race cars, he had to build production cars to fuel his habit. So in the case of this particular car, this is a J2. Under the hood is a Cadillac 331 cubic inch V8. This engine and the Chrysler Hemi at the time were the two motors that everybody wanted in terms of sports cars because they were modern overhead valve V8s that produced a lot of horsepower relative to the size. This particular car was built for Max Hess of Hess's department store in Allentown, Pennsylvania. The car has spent its entire life in Allentown, including where Jed lives today. This particular car also was given to one of his employees, which he did many times with cars, and it was used very sparingly. Jed, am I correct? It's got about 8,000 miles or so on it? 7,360 miles. So just an incredible timepiece. It has been restored, but restored sympathetically in the process of keeping the car as original as possible. Very cool car, and you did win, I told you. Congratulations. That was a hard class, I gotta tell you. I'm glad I did not judge that class. Next is second in class. This is a 1928, I'm at 1928, that's definitely not right. It's a 1951 Talbot Lago T26 Grand Sport Coupe with coachwork by Salchik. This is owned by the Black Hawk Collection in Danville, California. If you see on the back of this, it says Lago Grand Sport. And Anthony Lago was a racer. He took over the Sunbeam Talbot Duroc company, and later, of course, it became Talbot Duroc. This particular car is wearing a beautiful body by Jacques Salchik of Paris. The French coach builders really were nothing like anything we were doing here in America at the time. They used these flamboyant body styles. They were called teardrop designs. Joseph Fagoni was the guy who was really behind the teardrop design. He hated the name. He hated the fact that people called it that, but that's what the cars became known as because of it looked very much like a raindrop or a teardrop that was being blown in the wind. These are basically racing cars built for the street with this incredible Parisian coachwork. Fabulous car, just stunning automobile, and a very interesting to see such a late Talbot with this kind of bodywork. Great car, congratulations. And another knockout car here on the show field today. First in class among European sports cars, and I might say deservedly so. This is from the Kogan collection. in Louisville, Kentucky. This is a 1953 Ferrari 250 Europa with coachwork by Vignali. Just look at that car. I mean, is that stunning or what? Bear in mind, at this time in the history of Ferrari, Enzo Ferrari was building race cars. That was his predominantly most important thing. Again, he realized that he needed to build production cars or street cars in order to be able to afford his racing habit. This particular car was the first 250 built that was with a 3-liter V12 engine in it. It was sent to Vignali in Turin, Italy, and bodied with this fabulous one-off coachwork that you see there. Interestingly enough, if you look at that car and you kind of squint a little bit, does it remind anybody of anything? Reminds you of a Volvo 1800 from the side. That's where they stole much of the styling from this particular car. Just a fabulous automobile and just a stunning, stunning car. And we have a special surprise.
Special thing up front. All right. It's all yours.
Get it on there. Come on. You got it? All right. She said yes, guys. That's it.
Congratulations.
It's a good way to start a car show.
Savor the moment.
One more photo. One more.
We have one question. Is she surprised?
I think so.
Hold up that ring. Yeah.
How about that?
Congratulations, you guys. That's very cool. I've been doing this a long time, and I have never had this happen. So, pretty cool event, and glad we could all share in your excitement today. Congratulations.
Now just the car will start.
Okay, who's going to beat that?
Not to take away their thunder, too. If you didn't get to see the luggage in the back seat of that car, I would kill for that luggage.
You might want to watch
It's
it.
alligator, and it is absolutely gorgeous luggage.
He was
Very,
shaky.
very pretty. Okay.
He was all
After
nervous
that
and shaky.
excitement, how are you guys going to top this? Are you going? What are you doing? Are you going to announce pregnancies or anything? Okay, just checking. This is in the British sports car class, 1958 to 1968. Third in class goes to Greg Linderer of Las Vegas, Nevada, with a
Battery mic went.
Hold it, console's down. Kill the motor. Give us a minute.
Fueler up.
People were blown away by the car. The car is so covered. It was just an incredible styling statement when it came out. This is what's called a Series 2 Jaguar. There's Series 1, 2s, and 3s. The Series 2 car has open headlights rather than covered glass headlights on it, and a 4.2 liter as compared with 3.
1, 2, hey, hey.
Bill, give him the mic.
It wouldn't be a show without a little hiccup. Anyway, congratulations to these folks, and it's a fantastic color combination of what else but British racing green over biscuit leather. The quintessential color combination for a British sports car. Very, very pretty car. This is Series 2. Yeah, okay. 1.5, that's right. This is Series 1.5, right. Great car. Congratulations, and thank you for bringing it. In the Jaguar, British sports car classification, the second in class goes to Barry and Jean-Luc Connolly, I hope I'm saying that correctly, of Oceanside, California. This is a 1964 Triumph Spitfire 4. Siegfried Bettmann was the man behind Triumph. He was actually a German, not a Brit, but he happened to build his cars in Great Britain. Triumph cars were initially pretty spindly automobiles, much like MGs, and as time progressed they became much better in terms of their creature comforts, but really were the quintessential British sports car. This is a very early sports car. This was later shared, the chassis of this car, what was I saying? My head just blanked. Anyway, very early version of this car. Triumph continued to build these cars through the 1970s. So it's really, really cool to see an early car, especially done to this high-level restoration. Very cool car. Congratulations on your award. Thanks so much. Okay, first in class, and I'll get my act together here in a moment. This is a 1965 Jaguar. This is an E-Type. Again, this is a 4.2 owned by Joel Laub of Las Vegas, Nevada. Once again, you're getting the best view of this car when you see it from the side. And you get this incredible body shape that was designed by Bill Lyons. He was later knighted, became Sir William Lyons. Under the hood is a 4.2-liter inline 6-cylinder double overhead cam engine. Very, very powerful running engine. These engines powered Jaguars basically from 1948 onward through into the 70s, which is rather remarkable of that. They had these wonderful envelope body styles that you see here, very, very sleek, and this side opening hatch gate to the rear. Very, very handsome automobiles, and a styling statement the likes of which has never been really made to this day. Beautiful car. Is that opalescent gray? Am I correct? Yeah, it's an opalescent gray with a burgundy interior. Very, very pretty car.
Purrs like a kitten.
I'll direct you to the next spot.
Class 11 European sports cars, 1956 to 1965. This is third in class, which is a 1965 Maserati Mistral Spider, owned by George and Bobby Andrini. Am I saying that correctly? Oh, good. Wow, that's a shocker. I got that one right. In Palo Alto, California. The Mistral was the follow-up to the 3500 and to the Sebring in the Maserati lineup. However, it was the first car in the Maserati lineup to be named after a wind. Many cars came to follow. Of course, this is, you heard me say the Mistral, the Kamzen, the Ghibli, all of which were different names of winds, and that's where the cars got their name. This is, to me, an extremely handsome car. These were designed by Pietro Frua for Maserati, and again, just a really, really stunning car. This is an inline 6, correct? Straight 6, twin plug? Yeah, this is a twin plug 6-cylinder engine, so double spark plugs here for, of course, a hotter spark and to add to the horsepower of the motor. But very, very handsome styling. A car that we don't sadly often see at events like this. Great car. Congratulations on your award. Second in class goes to the Kogan Collection of Louisville, Kentucky. Wonder if we're going to have another proposal. Just thought I'd ask. Oh, okay, all right. This is a 1961 Ferrari 400 Super America. This is one of 16 cars that were built with this particular style. The 400 America was done predominantly for Enzo Ferrari's customers who demanded the absolute best that he had available at the time. This was a very small, lightweight body under which was Ferrari's largest motor. and it was referred to as the Super Dynamo Aerodynamico because of the body style of the car, which was very, very aerodynamic. Pininfarina designed the body of this car. As you can see behind the two seats, there is fitted luggage on this car as well. These are very, very fast cars, extremely competent automobiles, and again, this was the ultra, I guess you could say, in terms of grand touring automobiles available by Ferrari at that particular period of time. Stunning car, again, one of just 16, and it's wearing, of course, body by Scaglietti, but designed by Pininfarina. Beautiful car.
Whoop, whoop. Still hot rod, pedals and gears though.
Just listen to the sound of that V12. Man, does that sound.